Good afternoon. This is Debbie Davis. It is June 3rd now. Okay. So this situation has gone on and on and on and on for me. The level of the police harassment is so intense. For people new to my channel, I'm just gonna kind of back up and do an overview of things that have happened. And it's a lot of it. It started, the worst of it. Well, it started when I first moved back to Minnesota from Arizona, and I was an accidental witness to a fraud situation that happened through that military base, Papago military base. There was this guy who got caught stealing $2.7 million. Okay, it started with the fraud. Then, unbeknownst to me, now I moved back to Minnesota where I'm from. And, I started getting targeted like crazy by the police. Literally, I was pulled over 33 times. Okay, 33 is the number. They like to use, they're the 33rd degree Masons. Okay, and they are the specific ones that are targeting me because the 33rds are the opposite of the Mary Magdalene bloodline. I got the M's on my hands. I'm in the Mary Magdalene bloodline, and it goes all the way up to the Vatican, is my understanding, where they're actually told to target us. I'm on a targeted list, and I can't stop it. It's a spiritual battle. It is a religious persecution. Okay, I didn't, it is what it is. We reported it. We did our due diligence, what we thought we were supposed to do as admin NCOs. If we were, and I think it's over. I move out of the state. Nope, it's gone on for years, and it's escalating now. It's escalating now because they're so mad that I keep exposing them. Well, I'm on the defensive, not the offensive. They are the ones completely attacking me all the time. They don't like me talking about any of this. But I don't know, if we can't talk about it, nothing can get solved. Okay, and that is the problem in America, is that we haven't talked about things. People just make, they're used to doing the same thing all the time, and there's now there's too many situations now where things have to change. Okay, they just have to change because it's too much of a mess. Especially in South Dakota, we're finding ourselves in an extreme mess because, okay, so this issue with this sheriff that hates me started when myself and a couple other neighbors filed a lawsuit against him for the way he handled a murder in town of this guy named Jimmy Kolb, who was my friend. Okay, he tried to call it he tried to say it wasn't a murder or that kind of thing, and he didn't do any. And we were appalled, and also scared because, if that's how you handle that, then how do we know we're safe here? Anybody would feel the same. So myself and a couple of neighbors filed this lawsuit. Well, then now we're finding that South Dakota has these really secure trusts. So apparently we can't sue. Well, first of all, the sheriffs have immunity, and that's the other huge problem, is that they are immune from the law, but yet they are the law. So they can do whatever they want to us, but we can't do anything to them. Okay, and this is the problem I keep running into, and this is the problem we see in Minneapolis, where none of those police officers that killed all those people were held to accountability at all. Okay, it was only because the George Floyd thing became literally, international news, because, they killed somebody right in broad daylight, that it even, got any attention. They've been doing this kind of thing for years. Okay, they're so for people who are older and don't understand, it's like, I'm not trying to talk bad about the police. Okay, what my understanding, I'm just explaining what I know and what I've learned. Okay, the police never used to be this bad, but it started happening in the 90s. It was called the Clinton Cop Program, and they started infiltrating all of the police in the United States with the Masons. Okay, and they started having special training, like Israeli training. Okay, I've talked about this type of thing for years. For some reason, the Israel police came over here and trained a bunch of police over here, and I did a video about that years ago. That's because somebody pointed that out. Okay, so for me, I have a very serious situation where they're trying to say that I was disorderly, drunk and disorderly, right? Just sleeping in my car. This isn't the first time that this has happened. I was sleeping in my car. The car wasn't on. The keys weren't in it. Okay, and they start knocking on my door. There was no female cop, and they expect me to get out. There was no breathalyzer test. There was no anything. They just started beating me up and handcuffing me. Okay, and then they're trying to say that that I have. They're trying to take my license, I guess, and I haven't even had a court date. Okay, so this is 100% illegal. What's going on here right now? You can't do anything until I'm allowed to have a court date. But yet they're trying to, say, oh no, we're going to charge you with this right away. I haven't even had a court date. Okay, this is insane, and I'm telling you, I'm going to tell you how insane it has been for me for years. Okay, so there was then there was this incident where, because I've talked about this, I've been in manufacturing for years with my water filtration business, and then also I worked for a couple other companies in Minneapolis in manufacturing, and there was this temp agency that was placing me, and I worked multiple different places all over the city in manufacturing. Okay, manufacturing and assembly, and there was this situation that I had with the police where there was this temp guy that I worked with for years that that was just trying to get me another job after the stuff happened at this place I used to work called Wagner. Okay, where a bunch of us got illegally fired, and they brought people in that they could, pay less. Really, that's really what happened. None of us did anything wrong, and then so I go back to this temp agency, and he was trying to place me in another place, and then I had this happen, and this is why. Okay, so he sends me, their typical thing where you have to go take a drug test, and he sends me to this place called Concentra, which was near the airport. Okay, it was 34th Avenue, Minneapolis. That's right near the airport. Okay, so he's like, yeah, just go over here and pass your drugs. I don't do drugs. I've never done drugs in my life. Okay, so it's like, passing a drug test. No, it's never been a problem. Okay, so I go over there, and the airport police were completely surrounding this Concentra place. And I had to tell him, I had to text him, they prevented me from getting this job. They prevented me because I get so freaked out. I have such PTSD from the police and all the police harassment that I told him I just wouldn't go in there, So this is a conversation between him and I, and so he said, okay, well, I'm going to have to pull the spot now. Okay. He said, hi, Debbie, once you get to the clinic, you take the test, let me know, and then you'll be able to start. Okay, then I'm there. I'm at the clinic, and I say, the police are here. I can't, I'm going to have to hold off on this. I can't go in. Oh, I'm sorry, Debbie. I'll have to pull the spot here. Let me know when you're ready or you need my help. And I said, well, I'm not denying the job. I just can't go in right now to take the test. This is conversations they do this to my screen. I don't know what's going on, but this is conversations between me and like a temp agency, because the police were surrounding the place. So I didn't feel safe to go in there. It was like, okay, well, why are you stalking me? Are you going to try to arrest me once I give my name to take this drug test? It's so extreme that it sounds crazy. And so that's why I just have to explain it, because it just sounds so crazy, but it is crazy. And they're the ones, I'm on the defensive, like I said, and they're on the offensive all the time. Okay, so then after we filed this lawsuit, okay, I was just not feeling safe. for the way that he handled it, and some of the other things that I heard that had happened in McPherson County, South Dakota, with this particular sheriff and some people there. And so it wasn't. It's not like it's not out of revenge. It's because you don't feel safe, right? And you feel like, okay, well, I have to try to do something about this so people know what's going on here. This is an unsafe area. Okay, so we try to file this lawsuit. Okay, then he starts going around the block. He has some deputies go around the block, and he has them knocking on the door at night. I have audio. I'll have to find it, but it was like a threat tactic, and he had them knocking on our doors at like 9 o'clock at night. Okay, that's what happened to a couple of us, Bruce and I, and and it was like a threat tactic he did after we filed this lawsuit. Then all of a sudden he files this fake charge on me, which has gone on for years, where because shortly after this I was a witness, an accidental witness to a car accident, and he, and I didn't do anything. I left when they finally got there, and the people were airlifted and whatever to where they needed to go. And all of a sudden, 2 months later, out of nowhere, all of a sudden he has some deputy pull me over and say, well, there's a charge against you, a disorderly, there's a warrant. It's like, okay, I wasn't even told about the charge. I wasn't allowed a court date, but yet there's a warrant? How does that work? This is how the sheriff works there. Okay, this is how a dirty sheriff works. And this is what he's been doing to other people for years. He's absolutely terrifying. We are terrified in this county, and we need help. Okay, I was so terrified because I could see the energy surrounding this whole thing is that he had completely made up a charge and not even allowed me a court date. Or even, so this is, now I'm like, this is absolutely, and then all the other stuff that I heard, and then the murder, and I was absolutely freaked out by this guy, this sheriff, okay, absolutely freaked out. So then I decided, this is not safe to even live here right now. It's just, I had no idea. I bought it from my friend, and, he told me some things, but he didn't tell me, the extent of the danger. Because he was just kind of doing his own thing, and that's what I was trying to do, but it just doesn't work after a while, because when you have that much corruption going on, you can't just like pretend it's not happening or something, so anyway, then I move, so then I was like, okay, I'm going to just leave the state for a while and see if I can do some research, see if I can figure out what this false charge is about, and figure out more of what I need to do here. So then I went to Idaho, and I talked about this. I have the video of me talking to this Scott Rowland. Okay, and in Bingham County. Okay, so Blackfoot, Idaho. Okay, so then I'm in like the Pocatello area. I just was trying to figure out like cheap places to live and just kind of lay low. And I was like, once again, I was just doing temp work. There's a lot of potato plants there, and I was in manufacturing, and I was working at the potato plants there. That's all I was doing. Okay, so one time in Blackfoot, Idaho, it wasn't a potato plant. It was just, I was working the state fair for a week. And all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, after working a full week, I'm coming out of the state fair with the rest of the crowd. All of a sudden, this police officer pulls me over. His name is starts with a P, but it's the same one that my friend Jamie Kolb got beat up by. Okay, so I have no charges in Idaho. I've never been there in my life. I've never lived there. This is probably like 3 months into living there. All I do was literally the only thing I was doing was just doing temp work and going home to this place I was renting, which I found really cheap. Okay, and so there was no charges actually in that county. But what happened is that this sheriff in South Dakota had told this sheriff over here that there was a misdemeanor charge on me from South Dakota, and that he had me pulled over on a warrant. Okay, you can't prosecute a misdemeanor in a different state that's of something that doesn't happen in your state. Okay, but that is what he did, and I was illegally pulled over in this state and literally pulled out of my car. I have the video footage of it's the same cop that harassed my friend Jamie and Simon. Literally pulled me out of the car, beat me up. This is not the first time I've been beaten up. Once again, I had bruises everywhere. I said, "What is this about?" And he didn't say anything. They brought me to jail. I bailed myself out. And then they forced you to pay cash. I had cash in my purse, and then I believe and this is a false charge. So what they do is they pocket the cash. It's literally a national racketeering operation, fraud and racketeering operation that they have going on. These are false charges, and the police they network with their other Mason buddies, and then they towed my car, so then I had to pay towing and bail, and I still to this day. And then I have a video of myself calling the Blackfoot, Idaho police. Okay, and I said, "What did I even get pulled over for?" And then he hung up on me. So I have that video on my channel. And then there were so many complaints about this guy. So this is the same guy, Bingham County Sheriff. He was so this was in 2022. He finally got forced out. Okay, this is the type of person I'm dealing with. This is the type of person that was after me. These are dirty sheriffs that were eventually convicted of crimes. They found out they were doing this to other people besides me. Okay, so his name was Sheriff Craig Rowland. He was finally removed in 2022 following felony charges. Okay, what he did to me was a felony. Okay, so this is what I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with felony criminal sheriffs. Okay, it is not me. They are the ones that are not following their own laws. They're not doing the laws. Okay, and it's terrifying. Okay, then I think after that's when I moved to Texas, and then I had that situation in Uvalde, Texas, very similar to what just happened to me in Minnesota, where I was sleeping in my car and I got attacked. This was another situation like what just happened to me. Okay, so I was staying. One of my friends that in South Dakota here is like kind of a snowbird, and he goes down to Texas. So I ended up going down to Texas over the winter one year because my friend actually goes to some of those areas. My one of my neighbors. Okay, so. Then what happened is I was in the Cotulla area, cheap trailer, just renting a cheap trailer for a while, and then somebody from the trailer said, "Hey, can you give me a ride?" And she gave me money for a ride, and she said, "Can you drive me to Uvalde and just drop me off?" Okay, and it was late at night, and it was like out of nowhere, and I had so sometimes I have to take meds to sleep and stuff like that, and. Yeah, and I'm sitting there, the car is not on, I'm sleeping, it was the same thing that happened to me in Minnesota, the car is not on, I'm sleeping, I'm just sitting there, and all of a sudden these cops come up, and they start harassing me.
Being really polite to you.
No, I'm trying to sleep overnight in my car.
I was in a public parking lot, it wasn't didn't say no parking, same thing that happened to me in Minnesota. Didn't say, you can't park here. It's just well, where is safe to park? Like when you're tired, you can't always find the perfect place to pull over. And
I'm not trespassing. I'm just sitting
trespassing.
Here.
It's a public parking lot.
In a property that doesn't belong to you. That's trespassing.
Okay. No, I'm not
in a property that's not belong to you? It's a public parking lot.
I'm not trespassing. I'm just sitting here, and I've been here for 5 minutes.
I was sleeping in my car. The car was off. I was just resting, which is what you're supposed to do when you're tired. Same thing that happened to me in Minnesota. Okay, they pull me out of my car. They beat me up. I ended up, I have the medical records from where they sprained my wrist. Okay, and then, yeah, and this is, then, okay, and once again, I don't even know why I was arrested. It was, once again, it was the sheriff in South Dakota that had called this sheriff, who has now been indicted, okay, since then for multiple felony charges, because that's where that shooting took place, where 19 children died. I was in Uvalde, Texas, where that same shooting took place. So his name was Daniel Rodriguez. So what was happening is I have this sheriff who's got it out for me, and he just calls other sheriffs that are also Masons, and he has me arrested for a fake charge from a totally different state. You can't prosecute something in another state that didn't happen in your state. These are criminal cops doing this to me, and they're networking, and they're following me and stalking me everywhere. And this guy, so once again, I ended up having to pay bail and money for my tow, and I still to this day don't even know why I was arrested. Okay, this has been happening to me for years. This is totally criminal persecution. Okay, and this sheriff, this is also attempted murder, and this sheriff in South Dakota needs to be charged with attempted murder. It wasn't like, I mean, I was really beat up every time. Like, literally, they beat me up. I thought I was going to die. Okay, this is insanity, and it has to be stopped. Okay, so then Uvalde was the same place where those 19 children were died. The city police chief ended up resigning in March 2024. He stepped down. Pressure from victims of the families, public fallout. Yeah, you think so? Okay, so he ended up in trouble, and yeah, I mean, ended up being forced down. Okay, this is what I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with criminal cops that are making stuff up, trying to ruin my life. Yeah, I do these videos, but this is because of I'm in the defensive. They're the ones coming after me constantly. I was just trying to sleep. Okay, so I mean, in this, I'm going to tell more of the story, but this is just some of it. And these are dangerous people. This sheriff in South Dakota, McPherson County, where I have my house, where I'm trying to live, but I'm so terrified of him. It is. I mean, I've never experienced anything like this, because South Dakota has all these weird trusts. He's got a trust, so he can't be sued. Okay, and I have never experienced something like this. This is the most dangerous sheriff, and whatever it is, this connections, this community that I've ever experienced in my life. Okay, they are very, very dangerous, and we need federal help here. I need federal help. This guy is trying to kill me. This is attempted murder.